Picture this, a sweltering July afternoon. Your friends are calling, inviting you to a cookout. The cool water is beckoning, but instead you're hunched over your garden beds, pulling yet another stubborn weed. Sound familiar? Well, what if I told you there's another way? What if you could create a thriving garden that only requires a couple of hours of your attention each week? Sounds like a fantasy? Not at all. This is the philosophy of the lazy gardener. And today, I'm going to share 20 key secrets on how to plan everything this spring so that you can actually relax all summer long, enjoying your amazing harvest. Ready to toss out the hoe and forget about backaches? Let's dive in. Let's get one thing straight right away. A lazy garden is not some weed-choked, overgrown mess. Quite the opposite, in fact. It's an incredibly smart, well thought out, and efficient gardening system. The entire point is not to fight nature, but to cooperate with it. We're going to stop wasting effort on all those useless, repetitive tasks our grandparents insisted upon. Instead, we will set up a system once that operates almost autonomously. Think of it like an investment. You put in a bit more time and effort up front in the spring, and then you reap the dividends all summer long in the form of free time and a fantastic harvest. This entire approach is rooted in the principles of permaculture, which is essentially creating a self-sustaining ecosystem. It might sound complicated, but in reality, it's quite simple. And now, we're going to break it down, step by step. The very first step, the one that makes everything else possible, is the plan. Yep, a basic plan on paper. I know, it sounds tedious, but trust me, one evening spent sketching will save you countless hours this summer. You don't need to be an artist or a professional draftsman. Just sketch out a simple diagram of your space. Crucially, mark where north is and where south is. Then, track the sun's path throughout the day. Where does the light hit in the morning versus the late afternoon? This is absolutely essential because most vegetables need a minimum of 6 to 8 hours of direct, unfiltered sunlight daily. Map out your house, shed, and any large trees that cast shadow. Also, pinpoint the location of your water source or hose spigot. Only once you have this groundwork complete should you start plotting where the actual garden beds will go. This simple drawing becomes your essential roadmap. You'll know exactly what to plant where, avoiding that frantic feeling of running around the yard with a shovel, making hasty decisions on the fly. This is the foundation for a garden that truly works with you, not against you. Okay, you've got your plan ready. Now let's dive into the shape and size of your actual garden beds. Forget those giant, sprawling plots that require a tractor just to till them. Our preferred method uses permanent or no-dig beds. This means you build them once and they're set for years to come. The single biggest mistake a beginner makes is making their beds too wide. Remember the golden rule. You must be able to comfortably reach the centre of the bed from either side without stepping on the soil. The ideal width is between 70 centimetres and 1 metre. That's roughly 30 to 40 inches, and absolutely no wider. The length can be whatever you need it to be. Why is it so crucial not to step on the soil in the bed? Because walking on it compacts the earth, cuts off oxygen to the roots, and disrupts the essential work of beneficial microorganisms. We want nature working for us, not against us. By setting up these narrow beds just once, you permanently eliminate the need to ever walk on the space where your food grows. It sounds simple, but this detail changes everything about how you garden. The next crucial step in our master plan involves the pathways. Yes, that's right, the paths, not the garden beds themselves. In a lazy garden, the pathways are just as vital as the plants you grow. They need to be permanent and, critically, maintenance-free. What does that mean exactly? You decide where you're going to walk once, and then install a solid permanent ground cover there. You have tons of options, suitable for every budget. The simplest and most eco-friendly choice is to cover your paths with a thick layer of sawdust, wood chips, or bark mulch. This layer will suppress weeds and eventually decompose into valuable soil enrichment. A more durable option is to line the paths with landscape fabric or even old cardboard Then top it off with sand, gravel, or paving stones. The main objective is simple: create a surface where weeds simply cannot take root. You won't believe how much time and effort you save when you don't have to constantly weed the walkways between your beds every single week. This is another core element of the system. You do the work once, and you get to enjoy the low-maintenance results for years to come. Now let's talk about a major upgrade for our garden beds. If you want to take your low-effort gardening to the next level, you absolutely need raised beds, sometimes called warm beds. A raised bed is essentially a bottomless frame, typically ranging from 8 to 16 inches high. You can easily build the frame yourself from lumber, repurpose materials like siding, or you can purchase ready-made kits. So, what's the magic behind them? First off, you won't have to bend over nearly as often. Your back will definitely thank you for the relief. Secondly, you fill these beds using the principles of lasagna gardening. At the bottom, you pile in branches, plant clippings, cardboard, and any other organic matter. Then you top that with layers of compost and high-quality soil. Over time, all this material breaks down, generating natural heat and constantly feeding your plants. The soil in raised beds warms up much faster in the spring, which means you can start planting earlier and enjoy a significantly earlier harvest. Plus, it's much easier to control the soil composition, and the beds are protected from being trampled by pets or children. Yes, building them takes some initial time and effort, but this is an investment that will pay off tremendously in the long run. Believe it or not, one of the biggest enemies of the home gardener is the spade. Yes, you heard that right. Annual deep digging, or turning the soil, is back-breaking work that often creates more problems than it solves. When we flip those heavy layers of soil, we disrupt the Earth's natural delicate structure. We kill billions of beneficial microorganisms and earthworms, the very organisms responsible for creating rich, fertile soil. The efficient gardener, the one who embraces minimal effort, follows the no-dig principle. So, what's the alternative? Simply loosen the very top layer, about 2 to 3 inches deep, using a broad fork or a hand cultivator. That's enough to break up any surface crust and ensure proper aeration. All the heavy lifting is then handled by the plant roots, the earthworms and the microbes. They naturally create the necessary channels and structure for healthy soil. By retiring your spade, you will not only save yourself a huge amount of effort, but you will also help your garden become healthier, more vibrant, and dramatically more productive. It truly is a paradigm shift in gardening philosophy. We've stopped digging, but if we don't dig, how exactly do we improve the soil? The answer is simple: you feed it from the top, just like nature does in the forest. Nobody is turning over the forest floor. Leaves and branches simply fall, decompose, and nourish the trees below. We adopt the same strategy. Our soil's primary food source is compost. This is the gardener's black gold. Make sure you set up a compost pile or a dedicated bin on your property right away. Put all your organic matter in it: grass clippings, seedless weeds, kitchen scraps, and garden waste. In a year or two, you'll have premium fertilizer, absolutely loaded with nutrients and beneficial bacteria. Every spring, all you need to do is spread a layer of compost a couple of inches thick across the surface of your garden beds and lightly rake it in. This top dressing will provide enough nutrition to feed your plants all season long. No harsh chemicals and no complicated feeding schedules necessary. And here is the ultimate secret for the lazy gardener: the weapon of mass destruction for weeds and drought. What is it? It's mulch. Mulching simply means covering the surface of the soil around your plants with any organic material. This can be dried, cut grass, straw, hay, sawdust, shredded bark, or even the weeds you've just pulled. So, what does mulch do? Oh, it works wonders. First, a layer of mulch, 5 to 10 centimetres thick, simply stops most weeds from breaking through. This cuts down on weeding dramatically. Second, mulch protects the soil from drying out. Moisture evaporates much slower, which means you'll have to water much less frequently. Third, it protects the soil, insulating it from overheating in the sun and from freezing temperatures. And fourth, The bottom layer of the mulch slowly breaks down, fertilizing the soil and providing a perfect meal for your earthworms. This is an absolute game changer. It's a total must-have. Let's dive deeper into the best materials for mulching. The most affordable and often free option is simple grass clippings. But there's a crucial caveat. Don't apply fresh grass clippings in a thick layer. If you do, they'll start to rot and generate excessive heat. We call that burning the plants. You need to let them wilt or dry out slightly in the sun first. The gold standard, however, is straw. It's lightweight, allows excellent air circulation, and takes a long time to decompose. Wood chips or sawdust also work wonderfully, but it's much better to use aged or partially composted material. Fresh sawdust, as it decomposes, actively pulls nitrogen out of the soil. Another incredibly effective material is plain, old cardboard. In the spring, you can lay it down over a garden bed, cut holes and plant your seedlings, like cabbage or zucchini, right through it. The cardboard completely blocks weed growth, and by the end of the season, it will have naturally broken down into the soil. Go ahead and experiment. The main rules are simple. Ensure your mulch layer is thick enough, and crucially, that it doesn't contain any weed seeds. This simple practice will truly revolutionize your gardening life. Next up on our list of major time commitments, watering. The constant hauling of hoses and endless trips with the watering can, especially during a heat wave. But this is one problem you can solve once and for all. The solution is called drip irrigation. This is a simple system of tubes and specialized emitters that delivers water slowly, drop by drop, right to the root zone of every single plant. What are the benefits? They are enormous, starting with efficiency. First, massive water conservation. Water isn't wasted evaporating from the surface or running off onto paths. Every single drop is used exactly where it's needed. Second, you reclaim your valuable time. The system can easily be connected to a timer, allowing it to turn on and off automatically exactly when needed, say late at night, when evaporation rates are lowest. Third, plant foliage stays dry. This is a crucial defense against many common fungal diseases, such as the dreaded tomato blight. Best of all, you can buy complete drip kits today that are designed to be set up like a simple construction toy in under 30 minutes. Drip irrigation often sounds complicated and expensive, but that's actually a total myth. You can put together the simplest system for practically nothing. All you need is a large water barrel or tank, elevated at least 1 metre off the ground, a simple tap or spigot, and special drip tape which you can find at any gardening supply store. This tape is just a thin hose with emitters built right in. You simply lay it out along your plant rows, connect it to the barrel, fill the barrel with water, and that's it. The system runs itself purely on gravity. No pumps, no electricity needed. The water in the barrel naturally warms up in the sun, which plants absolutely love. And if you add liquid organic fertilizer to the barrel, you get 2 benefits in one, watering and feeding all at once. Spend just 1 day setting up this simple system, and you'll free yourself from that tedious summer routine for the entire season. Now let's talk about what exactly to plant. Selecting the right varieties is half the battle when it comes to successful, low-effort gardening. Forget those fussy, exotic varieties that demand constant attention. We need reliable, locally adapted cultivars, those that are proven winners and naturally resistant to pests and diseases. Research which crops thrive specifically in your climate zone. Don't try to grow watermelons in a northern climate unless you have a serious greenhouse setup. Choose plants with staggered maturity dates. This ensures a steady, continuous supply of produce, rather than one overwhelming harvest all at once. And most importantly, do not plant more than you can realistically eat or preserve. 5 well-tended tomato plants, absolutely loaded with fruit, are far better than an entire chaotic plot that's choked with weeds and suffering from disease. Greed is the lazy gardener's worst enemy. Be realistic about your capacity, and your garden will reward you with a generous harvest for minimal effort. Let's put together a top 5 list of the easiest, or perhaps the laziest, vegetables to grow. Coming in at number 1, we absolutely have zucchini and summer squash. They practically grow themselves. All you need to do is drop a seed in fertile soil and keep it watered. Seriously, one single plant can flood an entire family with more produce than they can handle. In second place, we have leafy greens, things like lettuce, spinach, and arugula. They grow incredibly fast and require almost no fuss. Sow the seeds and just 3 to 4 weeks later, you're already clipping fresh leaves. The third spot goes to peas and beans. Not only do they provide a delicious harvest, but they also naturally enrich your soil with nitrogen. They might need a trellis or some kind of support structure, but other than that, they are remarkably hardy and self-sufficient. I'd put winter squash or pumpkin in fourth place. Yes, they need a lot of physical space, but if you let them sprawl over a fence or just creep across a compost heap, they require next to zero maintenance, and in the fall, they'll reward you with enormous fruits. And finally, rounding out the top 5, we have root vegetables like radishes, beets and carrots. The only critical step is thinning them out early. After that, just keep them covered with a layer of mulch and they will pretty much take care of themselves. Want to make your life even easier? Plant perennials. These are plants you set once and they keep giving you a harvest for years and years. It's truly a low-maintenance gardener's dream come true. Take sorrel and rhubarb, for example. They are some of the first plants to pop up in the spring, and they generally only require watering. Think about perennial onions like chives, Egyptian onions, or walking onions. Plant just one bulb, and then clip fresh green tops throughout the spring and summer. Asparagus is a real delicacy, and it can stay productive in the same spot for up to 20 years. Then there's horseradish. Here, the challenge is actually limiting its growth, otherwise it will quickly take over your entire garden plot. Don't forget the perennial herbs either. Mint, lemon balm, thyme, and oregano. They not only spice up your cooking, but they also attract beneficial pollinating insects to your garden. This is your long-term investment in both a guaranteed harvest and free time. Moving on to our next smart trick, companion planting. This strategy is all about utilising the natural synergy between plants. When certain varieties are paired up, they effectively lend each other a hand. They can ward off pests, attract beneficial insects, or even boost the flavour of their neighbour. While this is a complex science, there are several tried and true classic pairings. Take carrots and onions, for instance. The strong odour of the onion deters the carrot fly, and the smell of the carrot repels the onion maggot. Tomatoes and basil are best friends in the garden. Basil enhances the tomato's flavour and keeps common pests away. To deter the dreaded cabbage worms, try planting dill, celery or sage near your cabbage. And finally, marigolds. Planted along the perimeter of your beds, they don't just add a splash of colour. They protect many crops from underground nuisances, particularly nematodes. By leveraging these natural alliances, you can significantly cut back on chemical use, resulting in a much healthier, more sustainable and resilient garden. Here's another essential tool for the smart but lazy gardener. Cover crops, also known as green manure. These are plants you grow, not for the harvest, but purely to improve your soil health. So how does this work? Once a plot is cleared, say, after you harvest your early radishes or onions, don't leave the soil exposed and empty. Bare soil is just an open invitation for weeds to take over. Instead, sow cover crops like mustard, phacelia, oats or rye. They establish very quickly, creating a dense green carpet that effectively chokes out competing weeds. Their powerful root systems aerate and loosen the soil better than any manual digging or tilling. When the plants are mature, but crucially, before they flower, you simply chop them down and leave the green mass right on the bed as a natural mulch. As this material decomposes, it naturally amends the soil, pumping it full of nitrogen and rich organic matter. It's the simplest and most affordable way to boost fertility, restore soil health, and revitalise your garden, all without heavy digging or hauling in manure. Let's discuss our planting methods. The traditional way is planting in straight uniform rows, but that's simply not the most efficient approach. For high-yield, low-effort gardening, It's far better to use intensive or block planting techniques. Instead of setting plants in a single line, we sow them in several staggered rows, aiming to fill the entire surface area of the raised bed. For example, instead of one row of beets, you might plant 3 or 4. What's the big advantage? Once these plants mature, their leaves will overlap, creating a dense green canopy. This living mat will shade the soil, effectively blocking out weeds and helping to retain crucial moisture. You end up getting the full benefits of mulch, but delivered naturally by the plants themselves. Furthermore, this method utilizes your available bed space much more efficiently, resulting in a significantly higher yield per square meter. Naturally, this system isn't suitable for large, sprawling crops like zucchini or squash, but it is the perfect strategy for root vegetables like carrots and beets, as well as onions and all types of leafy greens. Sowing tiny seeds like carrots or parsley can be a real pain. They tend to clump together and spill out way too thickly. And later, you waste hours standing in an awkward position just trying to thin out the sprouts. That is definitely not the lazy gardener's way. But there's a solution. Try using seed tapes. These are just simple strips of paper with the seeds already glued down at the perfect distance apart. All you have to do is make a shallow trench, unroll the tape, cover it lightly with soil and water. Your seedlings will come up perfectly straight, looking like they were planted with a ruler, and you won't need to do any thinning at all. While you can certainly buy these tapes at the garden centre, they are actually super easy to make yourself. Just grab a strip of toilet paper, whip up a simple paste using starch or flour, and then use a toothpick to apply tiny dots of glue, sticking one seed onto each dot. This is a perfect project for those long winter evenings, and come spring, you will save yourself a ton of time. If you start your seeds indoors, you know the crucial step is hardening them off before they hit the ground. That means slowly acclimatizing them to direct sunlight, wind, and changing temperatures. Usually this process requires hauling dozens of heavy trays in and out daily, and that's a massive chore. But there's a much easier method. Set up a small cold frame or a temporary nursery area in your yard. About 1 to 2 weeks before your expected transplant date, move all the seedlings into this dedicated space. Cover them with floating row cover fabric. For the first couple of days, only open the cover for a few hours and then gradually increase that exposure time. After several days, you can start leaving the cover off all day long and eventually even overnight. The plants will smoothly adapt to the new environment without stress, and you won't have to break your back running around. The row cover offers crucial protection against scorching sunlight and any unexpected late-night frosts. It's a simple yet highly effective technique. Even in the most meticulously maintained garden, weeds are bound to appear. But how should we deal with them? We shouldn't just toss them onto the compost pile. Instead, we use the highly efficient chop and drop method. If the weed hasn't gone to seed yet, simply slice it off at ground level with a sharp hoe and leave it lying right there on the garden bed. What are the benefits of this approach? First, you save valuable time since you don't have to haul the material off anywhere. Second, when left on the surface, the weeds quickly dry out in the sun and turn into free mulch, protecting the soil and helping to retain moisture. Third, as they decompose, they return all those vital nutrients they took from the soil right back where they belong. This way, weeds are transformed from frustrating enemies into valuable garden allies. Even the roots left behind offer a benefit. As they break down, they leave behind channels, which greatly improve the soil structure. The key is consistency. Make sure you do this regularly, never letting those weeds get the chance to go to seed. Our 20th and final secret is to recruit some natural allies. I'm talking about beneficial insects and birds. Start by making your garden a comfortable home for them. Plant nectar-rich flowers right in your garden beds and nearby. Things like calendula, marigolds, cosmos, and phacelia. These flowers will draw in essential pollinators like bees and bumblebees, as well as predators like ladybugs and lacewings, which are the deadliest enemies of aphids. Designate a small, wild corner somewhere on your property. Don't mow the grass there. This patch will provide shelter for ground beetles, which are fantastic slug control. Also, install a bird bath or a feeder. chickadees, and sparrows will happily take care of your caterpillars and other common pests. By promoting this kind of biodiversity, you are building a balanced, self-regulating ecosystem. You won't have to constantly chase pests with a sprayer. Nature will take care of the heavy lifting, leaving you free to just watch and harvest a beautiful, clean, and healthy crop. Let's wrap things up. As you can see, lazy gardening isn't about being idle. It's all about working smarter, not harder, and using strategic planning. Instead of fighting heroic battles against problems all summer long, we set up a system just once in the spring that prevents those issues from ever cropping up. Permanent raised beds, mulched pathways, drip irrigation, the no-dig method, and heavy mulching. These are the foundational pillars that support the gardener's relaxing summer. And here's the most amazing part. This approach doesn't just save you effort, it makes your soil healthier, more alive, and significantly more fertile year after year. You work less, but you consistently get bigger yields. Isn't that truly magical? You stop being merely a labourer on your plot and become its wise manager, a conductor who simply sets the right direction, allowing nature to play its own beautiful symphony. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. If you found this information helpful, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Now here is a question for you. What is your ultimate secret life hack for maintaining a lazy yet highly productive garden? Share your experience in the comments below. Let's build the best collection of advice together.